Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. Welcome, everyone. Today is the Rotary Club of Gainesville meeting for July 20th. And for guests who are visiting, we'll introduce you in just a moment. If you are participating today through Zoom, please register your attendance on Zoom, on YouTube, and let us know that you're with us. Without further ado, Pete, are you ready to sing? Okay, come on.
Okay, so I'm going to take a shot at this microphone here. Okay, everybody ready? Today is National Fortune Cookie Day. Congratulations. So I don't think fortune cookies are part of our lunch today, but they should be. But anyway, so it's National Fortune Cookie Day. So celebration of National Fortune Cookie Day, I thought I'd read just a couple of fortune cookie messages. One is that when I tried my first fortune cookie, it tasted like paper. Okay. Nobody got that. All right. And then one of them said, you got it. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe we'll just start singing then. Let's sing God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light up above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Let's, if you'll join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. The last fortune cookie I got said, please disregard all previous fortune cookie messages. So, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Pete. Ian, for invitation.
Listen, let's give Pete a round of applause for his boldness every week. Pete, I admire you, man. Just want you to know. Let us pray. O everlasting one, the one who increases in wisdom and stature and favor. Right now, we remember all our Rotarians that are ill with some form of sickness. We ask you to lift up Sam Holloway right now as the doctors try to determine what is happening with him. We ask you to lift up those that are not in our present. We ask you to rain down on Downton for all his years of service and all the things that he continues to try to do for our club. Thank you for this global network of neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers who see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities and ourselves. Teach us to be servant because we have many members, and the members do not all have the same functions, having gifts that differ according to the grace given to each of us. Let nothing we do be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in humbleness of mind, let each of us respect others better than ourselves. Let each of us look out not only for our own interests, but also for the interests of others in our community and fellow members of Rotary. Amen.
Thank you very much, Ian. We appreciate that. At this time, we're going to introduce guests of members or visiting Rotarians. You may be seated. Do you have any guests and visitors?
Hello, fellow Rotarians. I'm happy to introduce two guests. First of all, I have Tony Clements, who is my Assistant Director for Production at the O'Connell Center. And then second, we have Charity Hall, who is a personal trainer, just moved here from Tampa and is looking to get involved.
Fellow Rotarians, please welcome Stephen Tanner as my guest today. Stephen recently joined our firm as an employee benefits sales executive.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I have my son, Cecil Gracie, rising 8th grader at Oak Hall Middle School, here to listen to Coach Whittemore talk.
Thank you very much and welcome to all our visitors and guests today. At this time, we're going to have announcements by Rotarians. Linda Reinhardt, would you like to come up and make an announcement, please?
Hello, fellow Rotarians. I'm filling in for TJ today. Just want to remind everybody about the tour of Ben Hill Griffin Stadium on July 29th at 3:30 p.m. I hope you guys can come out. Please register. It should be a great time.
Thank you very much. Okay, today we Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have a craft talk today. Tony Barr is going to introduce Jacob.
Okay. I'm so glad Dr. Atem is joining the Rotary Club. Dr. Atem has risen from being a 6-year-old lost boy of the Sudan to getting a doctorate in public health from here at the University of Florida. Dr. Atem is a teacher and the CEO of the Southern Sudan Healthcare Organization that works to implement healthcare in the Sudan where there is no healthcare. Jacob has much curiosity about our community, America, and our club. He's a hands-on man that has already worked on several service projects. I remember him well at the swag operation. He truly exemplifies service above self.
Thank you, Tony. Can you guys hear me now? Earlier, it was not working, but her and I have a joke that my name is Atem, is ATEM. It's like ATM without money. So maybe you guys laugh. Peter, I might take your job soon. But with that being said, fellow Rotarian, thank you so much. And Tony, thank you for introducing me. And also thank you for an introduction. So before I share my story here, some of you may be well aware, but I was born in a small village called Mar in Africa, in Sudan. And it's currently called South Sudan now because things changed. So I grew up as a cattle herdman. I love to look after cattle. And unfortunately, the Civil War from 1983 to 2005 interrupt, and I lost my parents, and 2.5 million people died in that war. And that war really put us out to, I started walking to different internally displaced camps, to different refugee camps in different countries. I think I passed through like 4 refugee camps, and finally made it to Kakuma refugee camp in early 1990s. And just to put it into perspective, this journey was not an easy journey. It's a journey of walk over 2,000 miles. It's a distance of Atlanta, Georgia to California. And I had an opportunity to be resettled in the United States. And in 2001, I was in a foster care system for 3 years, and I still have great relationship with my mother, my American mother. Work experience, I still co-founded this organization called Southern Sudan Healthcare Organization, and 13 years and counting, I'm the CEO, and also I'm a professor at the Department of Nursing at Spring Arbor University. Got my bachelor's of biology there, and I went to Michigan State. I don't know, I'm not expecting go green, go Spartan, but you might know this university that I got my PhD called University of Florida. So go Gators. So it's good to be a Florida Gators, and had opportunity to do my postdoc at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. That was really a great honor. I have my beautiful wife who came here long when I was presenting. I have 3 children and 3 sons. So today I'm looking forward to our speaker, my good friend, Mr. Whittemore. I had an opportunity to present, but he has 4 sons. So we'll be talking because you can imagine how crazy it is with 3 sons in there. So I have a sibling who live in Melbourne, Australia. His name is Gabriel. And I have my sister who unfortunately is still in captivity, in slavery, and I've been in search for her for almost 30 years. And believe it or not, I was an athlete. I ran track. I played basketball. I broke my hand. And just a side joke is when I came to this country, they told me, do you know how to run across country? I'm like, of course. But my English was limited, so I have to think about it across the country. But because of my ego, I say, sure. Literally, did I know it's 3.1 mile? And they said, on your mark, go. And I just took off. I didn't know that you can die from running. So anyway, I learned my lesson. So in conclusion, why I joined this club is Rotary Club in general is I admire the thing that they do, promote peace, fight disease, provide clean water, sanitation, save mothers and children, support education, grow local economy, which since I've been here, you in this club has really inbounded. But to conclude, on our website, David, I went and looked and it said, why do you want to join? There's at least 20 things. I'm not going to read all of those. But one thing that I do like is number 18. It says nice people. I'm not trying to sugarcoat, but from the former president to the time I joined, you guys are really nice people. So thank you for having me, and thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, Jacob. We are really honored to have you here in our club, and we're so blessed to have you as part of our Rotary family now. At this time, I'm going to turn the program over to President David.
Thank you, Melanie. And Jacob, thank you for that craft talk. It's wonderful to have you in the club. You're going to be a fantastic asset to the Rotary Club of Gainesville, and welcome again. It's great to see everybody here in person today. I just love seeing a full room like this, and it's also great to be connected with the folks on Zoom. Something I mentioned yesterday evening during our board of directors meeting, I'll share it with you now. I got the coolest, I'll say the sweetest email from Dalton Birch and his family. I believe it may have actually come from his daughter, just attesting to the fact that Dalton continues to keep his stellar, probably the best attendance record in the club. He continues that. So I know, Dalton, you're on Zoom today, so keep it up. It's great to be connected with you and Ann Gay and your daughter via Zoom. So I'm glad you're still doing that. We're going to, obviously, we are going to keep the Zoom capability going. It's one of those things we've kind of talked about that now that we are beyond the pandemic, we're not going back to the old club. We're going to an improved club, which is what we're shooting for. Something else kind of regarding the board meeting last night, I want to just mention kind of some high level points that we discussed, just kind of I guess a board of directors meeting report for you all. And the first thing I wanted to mention was our treasurer, Jeff Sims, and I have been quite busy over the past week or two hammering out the budget for our current fiscal year. We've been doing that with input from Wesley Eubank and a couple other people. It's not quite finalized yet. It's close, but there's kind of a relevant matter that I should just mention to everyone today who's here live. A lot of you are enjoying the wonderful food being served by Hills Barbecue and Catering. We've got to pay for that. That's clearly everyone realizes this is an improved lunch that we're now providing with the buffet, and we've got to bump up the cost a little bit. So just in the interest of disclosure, you folks are going to see about a $2 increase in your meal price, but I think everyone will agree it's worth it. That's going to be reflected on your next quarterly dues statement. Let's see, a couple of other things. I want to get out of the way here and give my friend Coach Mark Whittemore plenty of time. But another very important point, I'm glad no one's throwing anything at me with that increase in meal costs, but something that'll hopefully make you happy is we approved 5 new member applications, new member proposals last night. That's pretty awesome. That's a nice increase. There are a lot of people that should be credited for that. Richard Allen, certainly as the new member recruitment chair, but also folks like Jeff Sims, who, when Richard Allen sends an email to Jeff, myself, and whomever else, there have been several folks on these calls, but our objective is to kind of let these potential new members know what we expect from them, and tell them a little bit about what they can expect from the club. It's kind of the let's be sure that this person fits what we want. And Jeff has availed himself on every one of those Zoom calls. So, we were able to actually vote and approve 5 people. I'm going to tell you who they are. The first one, I love this one. Elena Frazier is returning to the club as a member. And folks, if you're here, please stand so that we can kind of get to know you and put a face with the name. We've also got John Kelly. That's TJ Pichet is his sponsor. Is John here? I don't know that I saw John. How about Derek Roberts? Is Derek here? There's Derek. Yep. Thank you, Naomi Williams, for helping us help Derek make his transfer over here. Derek's actually a Rotarian from where, Derek? Ten-4. Well, welcome. Glad to have you. We also have Tim Williams. Is Tim here today? Tim was brought in by Richard. Richard is Tim's sponsor. And now we also have Sarah Owens, who I did see. Sarah, please stand. Sarah, not to single her out, but Sarah, I expect great things from. She's just transferred to a new position down in Micanopy, where I think she's wearing a lot of hats, but she seems to wear them well. And Mary Kate Walker is Sarah's sponsor, bringing her in. So without further ado, I'll tell you, we are going to try to give you a little bit of information after each board meeting, just to keep everyone kind of in the loop, so to speak. But I do want to give Mark Whittemore plenty of time to speak, and I'm going to have Eric Godet come up and introduce him, please.
Thank you, David. So it's with pleasure that I get to stand before you incredible Rotarians and introduce someone that makes an impact in our community each and every day in the lives of many of our youth. I can tell you, you got a lot of raving fans out here, Mark. I stopped over by Mark McGriff, and I'm catching up with him about a month, and he's just raving about you. I think a few days later, I'm talking to David, and he's raving about you. I'm like, okay. So if we got enough people talking about someone, we're going to make sure we get them standing in front of us. So a little bit about Mark Whittemore, Buchholz High School head football coach and history teacher. His topic today is going to be preparing young men for life after high school. So Mark was named an All-Area Coach of the Year in January 2021. Mark enjoys the role of head football coach at the same school he helped win its first and only football state championship as a player in 1990. Mark and his wife, Missy, have 4 sons. Yes, 4 sons. We heard Dr. Jacob share us with us about that, who each play football for their respective schools. Luke, 22, for Troy University, Trent, 20, at University of Florida, Creed, 16, at Buchholz High School, and Andrew, 12, Fort Clark Middle School. Also, Mark is an AP and honors history teacher. Mark appreciates the degree of influence he's capable of having on all of his players and students. Please give a great Rotary welcome to Mark Whittemore.
Fantastic venue, beautiful place. As a Gainesvillian myself, just the whole Cade business is, it's a pretty interesting kind of facet of being here in this town, the Gatorade experience, I guess you could say. Hey, really excited about talking to you folks, getting to know you. I've been, kind of milling around a little bit as we were eating some beautiful Hills barbecue and getting to know a few of you. Really appreciate David Gracie for inviting me here. He and I go way back. Not full disclosure, we cannot disclose to you some of the things that we did in high school, and especially in front of his 7th or 8th grade son. Nothing out of the okay zone, but right there on the borderline. David, though, congratulations on your position here. Rotarians, I'm not a Rotarian, but I do really appreciate the love and the atmosphere here. It's a tremendous place. And just kind of seeing you guys interact reminds me of my church, which I know many of you are believers. I am, and it's a big part of my life. Jacob as well. Jacob's so beautiful to see your smiling face and know your story, my friend. Just unbelievable to see you here, and it warms my heart. Many of you I know, and I'm sure we'll get to talk afterwards. So just real quick, obviously my bio, you see that I have 4 boys. I definitely outkick my coverage in my marriage to my lovely wife, Missy. She has done an unbelievable job just raising me first and foremost, as you know, but raising me and raising these boys and getting us where we are here 25 years later. Buchholz has been my home for a long time. And this community is special to me. And so being able to speak to a Rotary Club, you guys understand community. You've grown roots here. This town is very special to me. And so I don't speak necessarily as the Buchholz football coach, but I speak as someone who's really, frankly, trying really hard to leave a mark of betterment. And I know that's your heartbeat. And so I just want to talk to you a little bit about kind of what I'm experiencing here in this 21st century. All of us in this room, except for David's son, are 20th centuryers, right? We were born at, in the last century, and things have changed. Some of them for the better, many of them for the worse. And so my actual topic is educating and coaching in the 21st century. And I just want to share with you a few of the things that I've learned being involved with high schoolers. As you know, high schoolers are on the cutting edge, right? We're not. Like you and I, we're not on the cutting edge. They're on the cutting edge. And so being in their world and trying to manipulate them, that's an interesting word, trying to mentor them through what they're experiencing can be pretty difficult, but it's worth it. I know that to be the case. And you parents in the room are super aware of how stressful it can be to parent. It's also very stressful to educate and coach because, as the Supreme Court said, in loco parentis was the precedent set. I am their parent as long as they're on campus, which I take very seriously. So here are some points, my friends. And by the way, before I give these points, keep in mind, all four of my boys have both been in three of the four, Jacob, but the fourth is bringing up the rear. Hopefully I'll still be alive and kicking and be able to teach him and coach him as well. But Luke, the oldest, Trent, and then now Creed have both been in my classroom and on the football field for me. And so I've gotten a chance to parent and educate and coach simultaneously. So I feel like that gives me a little credibility to be able to offer to you a few things that I think are really kind of mainstays for us to move forward and really touch our future in a positive way. Number one, the old still works. The old way is not a bad way. The old still works. It's just, can you teach the old way with some new kind of implementation strategies? Okay. The old ways, what are the old ways? The old ways of honor, respect, humility. So somebody stood up here and said something about humility, and it just struck me. I was like, yeah. I mean, several of the Twitter things that I've seen on my kids' Twitter have said things like, humble gets you beat. Right? And so kids aren't wanting humility. They're taking selfies. Selfies aren't humble. Like, what's humble about a selfie? It's a self-e. Right? I mean, you're taking a picture of the very best of you all the time. And it's fake as all get out. Right? Can I hear an amen? It's fake. Because I see your face and I know the face that I see right now. And then I look on the selfie and I'm like, pretty good looking. Well, they're really not. It's just that the angles are correct and and everything, and bang, you're taking that selfie. So nothing is really inculcating and really breeding humility. But humility still works. We all know that. I see a lot of humility in this room. I was just back there at the table of four gentlemen sitting there, and I think it's Chip. Chip refused to say where he played baseball. Evidently, he played collegiate baseball. He refused to say it because he understands the value of not tooting his own horn. That's an old way. That's an old way. And as you know, you Christians in the room, you know that that's a highly, highly valued moray of the Christian faith. And we are a Judeo-Christian country, and therefore, coming up, humility was the old way. I believe in that old way. Now, getting the kids to believe in that, that's where the trick is. And so being able to deliver to them this value, the old still works. I believe that. So I wrote down love, care, and humility. We measure care quotient at Buchholz High School. What is your care quotient? So for you guys who don't understand math, you're just like me. Quotient is some sort of numerical figure, I think. And I think it sounds really cool. So the care quotient, what is your care quotient? I ask the kids, and they measure themselves. How much do they care about Buchholz High School? Today, we were actually picking up trash. Before our workout, we picked up trash because I said, you go into certain communities and there's trash everywhere. Why is that? You go into other communities and there's no trash. Why is that? Care quotient. So teaching care, teaching humility, teaching love. Secondarily, guys, ladies and gentlemen, Rotarians, technology must be managed. I know, Cecil, that your dad understands this. And I don't know what it's like in your house. Cecil, how much, do you have a phone yet? Where is it? I haven't seen it yet. Wait. Were you instructed? I'm going to put you on the spot. Were you instructed by your dad to not take that thing out? You just know. That's pretty impressive because most kids, Cecil's age, would have their phone out right now. And they would be scrolling through Instagram, Twitter, whatever, snapping. Like right here, right now. So they don't understand the management of the technology. The technology is not evil, but the technology has got to be managed or else it will steal your very soul. I honestly believe that. And so my boys we go toe to toe over this, but I believe that it's correct to manage your technology. Number 3, we have, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this or not, and I'm curious. Do you feel like mental stress is at an all-time high? I get that impression. I get the impression that mental stress, although we have all of this technology around us, we seem to be more stressed than ever before. Maybe more lonely, maybe more just attacked mentally. So I believe in order to raise these boys and girls and have a positive future, we've got to understand how to get to the other side with more hope. Hope. I do believe that faith, hope, and love, of those 3 virtues, the greatest is love, but hope is in there. And so I really try to preach hope. What are you hopeful about? Let's focus on that. What are you grateful for? Let's focus on that. Now, as I'm standing here talking to you guys, you got to realize that this is exactly what I do in the mornings. Like this morning at workouts, this is kind of what we do. And I believe in that. I believe in speaking to young people like young adults, right? Trying to explain to them how I'm seeing things and try to help them make it to the other side. One more. The last one is really understanding protecting our culture. This is a term that we use in football. You know, you can picture Dan Mullen saying, you know, we've got to have great culture around here. You know, you can picture whatever the Clemson coach's name, you know, Dabo going, we have a great culture here at Clemson. Well, culture is an interesting term here in this 21st century. You have cultural appropriation, right? I'm not sure I know exactly what that means, but I do know that culture is super duper important. Now, some people might say, well, whose culture is better? Well, I don't really know. I just know the one that seems to work. A culture of humility, a culture of care, a culture of hope, a culture of love. I don't think there's any necessarily ethnicity to that. I don't think those 4 things that I just mentioned have a particular ethnicity. But I do think you can really drive them home. So, wrapping it up. Protecting your culture, I think, is very important. And I think our culture is under assault. And I, for one, as a Gainesvillian, really want to fight back, right? My space, if you will, my niche for 25 years has been the classroom and the football field. I think it's a good niche. I think it's a place where, you know, a difference can be made, but it's not the only niche. And I would just encourage you as Gainesvillians to find that niche and be about making sure, as I know Rotary Club would advocate for, a positive future, right, in our community. You know, being the dad of 4 boys, having one right over here playing in the swamp, is a special place, super special place. And I just appreciate you guys giving me a little time to throw a little sermon at you on 2021, right, where we are, 21st century parenting, 21st century coaching, 21st century education. That's my heartbeat. So would love for you guys, however, to kind of open the floor up, ask me any questions, like what's it like to be teaching, coaching in the 21st, whatever, wherever you want to go, you shoot. We're gonna have a pretty good football team, by the way. So that's not a side note, but so yeah, just open the floor up for questions. Is that cool with you, Mr. Gracie? Pete.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Stand up. Stand up. My name is Pete Enwall, and I have a question. Some of us are no longer parents, particularly. We're grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
So can you help us translate what you've said? And of course, the parents are primarily responsible for implementing the values that you've talked about. But what are your thoughts on how grandparents can join in that struggle?
Well, I mean, with a 22-year-old, and you know, I'm thinking that here in the next decade, I'll probably be a grandparent myself. You know, we believe in marriage and in family, in our family. So I anticipate, if by the grace of God, I might be a grandparent myself. But I watch my in-laws and my parents, and I do believe there are some pitfalls as a grandparent. You know, and I see, you know, I mean, shoot, it's not like the grandparents don't know what's going on Facebook. I mean, everybody's on Facebook, right? So we understand technology. There's no age limit to that, and I think that we can create, as an extended family, an awareness of these things and continue, as our forefathers did, to preach these things and to emulate these things. You know, care, which y'all are doing right now, like this is a form of that. And I know several of your kids, Pete's, played before I was the head coach at Buchholz. So I know several of your kids in here and actually do see the result of your emulation of the virtues that are so important. And I do believe they're virtues, you know, and I think that we can be aware of that, Mr. Enwall, right? Aware of the power of what we advocate for and what we emulate. It does trickle down. So hopefully that's my thought. I'm just a high school football coach and teacher.
Well, Mark, what a great presentation, friend. Good to see you. I had a pleasure to speak 4 times to your students. So I have a couple of questions, and you mentioned culture. I'm coming from many culture,
right?
The African culture, the African American culture now, and raising 3 African American boys. So I was watching, I think, Kevin Hart and Will Smith, and they were talking about how to raise kids. And so Will Smith,
the actor,
yeah, and Kevin Hart. But they mentioned something that I want to say here, where growing up, you know, I'm talking about drinking your own urine. I'm talking about hardship like that. Now, fast forward, I have 3 boys. Where do you have the balance when they, the word called grateful, or they don't see, and all of us, where we've been, but also you don't want to punish them just because being a a disgruntled dad and said, look, just because I went through this, I know that's where the humility come in. But at the same time, in this culture, if you see what others went through, back in the day, you get punched in the face. And this generation, I'm not saying to encourage punch people in the face, but these are the things that you learn in the real world. Yeah. And kids become somehow sheltered. So how do you have, I don't know if my question is clear, how do you balance what your past history, not to be punishing your kid, but at the same time, letting them know it was not used to be like this?
Yeah. Well, full disclosure, I am not an expert, Jacob. So I'm giving you my opinion as someone who's been dealing with kids for a long time. I believe in always erring on the side of discipline. If you're going to err disciplinarily, right? Right? E-R. If you're going to err, right? Error. If you're going to miss the mark, let's miss it creating people that have a work ethic. Let's miss it being a little bit more hard than soft. I kind of believe that. A gentle. The Romans called it gravitas, right? A gentle seriousness. It doesn't have to be the back of your hand. But I also don't believe that we should berate our kids into thinking that they are the laziest generation, right? Maybe that's true. Obesity is an all-time high, right? It's maybe that is true. I don't think we need to berate that, but I do think the answer to your question is the balance is making sure that we don't drop the ball on making sure that Pete Inwall, that his grandkids have some stories about what it was like when Pete was younger. My father-in-law does a great job of that. He does a great job of when we're at the dinner table, which I think, by the way, is a great place. I think it's a lost art, the dinner table. But at the dinner table, making sure that, hey, they know what it was like when grandpa was in the Vietnam War and hears about boot camp and how he was treated. And he couldn't make the swim for the Marines, and so he had to run across the desert there in boot camp to the pool for like 3 months until he finally got it. And those are special. So, Jacob, I mean, that's a wisdom of the father type thing. You've got an unbelievably horrific story, and your kids are living they're living in the richest country in the world. So, I don't know what to tell you there, my friend. Anybody want to hear about football? Okay.
Hey, Brendan Shortley, and really impressed, Coach. But I guess in the interest of inventing new words and helping emphasize your spirit, I want to make sure everybody also errs on the side of being more disciplinary-ish. I also wanted to ask you about your kids, and when you do service projects, I was really impressed that you actually bring them out cleaning the campus at school. Do you ever get a chance to get them off campus to do service projects or anything in our lovely community that you are so proud of?
Yeah, actually, we have not been out and about necessarily. And I don't see myself as a visionary. I could be a lot better in that regard, really getting my kids, say, to the local, hospital, animal shelter, to try to invest a little bit. To be honest with you, doing what we did this morning is kind of, it's about as far as I think I can go and stay sane at this point. I've seen people do it a lot better, and have their kids really more involved in some community stuff. I do believe in it. It's just at this point, I haven't been able to press that button yet amidst all the other buttons, if you will. So believe in the value of it, haven't gotten it further than our campus yet.
Good afternoon, Coach. Thank you for being here. Ian Fletcher. Many of your kids come from homes that lack love, that lack trust. And you talked about parenting, coaching, teaching. How do you build the trust in them when they lack it and don't trust?
I start and I tell them this because Reverend, true, Pastor, what's your name again? Nice to meet you, by the way. I tell my kids every year, and the beautiful thing about football is it's different than lacrosse. You know, lacrosse is a demographic sport. Tennis is a demographic sport, right? Football is cross demographic. I mean, we've got the very poorest, the very wealthy. We've got the plumber's son. We've got the professor's son. We've got the lawyer's son. And we have we don't know son. Several of them, right? So I have to step in as in loco parentes. I have to step in and be truthful. So my first step is telling them the truth. And we live in an alter reality world, don't we? Virtual reality. I don't like it. I want to tell them reality, not virtual reality. So I'm very, very almost to the point where the kids get this feeling that I'm going to destroy their dreams. But I want them to know right up front that I'm not going to lie to them. So I'm not going to, and that builds the trust right there to answer your question. That's how I build the trust, by trying my best to not lie to them and tell them exactly where they stand and what the future looks like and how to alter that. That's been my most successful strategy, because especially racially, it's extremely difficult to break the distrust between black male and white male in our current scenario. So that's usually and can be my toughest dilemma that I've got to solve. Toughest situation is me being white male to black male, never had a father figure, right? And here I am telling them maybe something that they don't even believe, but that is real. So trust built through truth. Again, I am not an expert.
Do you have any insight into what's going on in Gainesville with the recent shootings we're having? 2 of the recent victims went to Westwood Middle School, where my granddaughter goes. And I mean, a lot of these seem to involve our youth, and it's very, very distressing.
Yes, I mean, I think our last year here in this country has been very distressing. And frankly, as an educator, I think this last year and the distress that we've experienced in so many facets, that is the outgrowth of kind of where we stand. That's my personal opinion. I know nothing of the logistics of these occurrences, but I do know that we've got to try our best as community members, educators, coaches, parents, into righting the ship. If we are listing a little bit, right, in the seas, righting the ship individually to create a place where things like that don't happen. That's how I feel about that.
Hey, Coach Whit, I'm Jay Hutto, and you taught both of my kids at Buchholz.
Yes,
so
nice
I have
to
an
see you.
encouraging word and a question for you. The encouraging word is that I appreciated with my daughter, you taught her to pay attention because she was always afraid you're going to ask her a question. So good instructional technique. And then with my son, you probably jumped straight to his number one teacher when you jumped back flip off the desk onto the ground. So I appreciate it. You were always
Staying relevant, staying relevant.
I'm sure you were. But you did, for both of them, you kind of taught that health is important. I mean, even though you're teaching history, I think they both picked up from you that, health is important and always have that, athletic slant or activity. And they both did that. So I appreciate that. But I wanted to ask you a question, and that is, can you give us a football update for this coming year?
Yeah, we are, Buchholz is trending up. I believe that we've always been a very competitive squad, going back to the days of the 90s, 80s, when Coach Feely arrived. I don't know if you guys are old enough Gainesvillians to remember Eddie Feely. Eddie Feely came up from Merritt Island and immediately put the Buchholz Bobcats on the map there from about 81 to about 87. And we've been riding that wave ever since. We're always competitive. Right now, we've got 3 or 4 Division I recruitable kids and a host of talent that could, if these kids continue to work hard and the ball bounces our way, take us to a destination that we're really fighting for. So I feel good, Mr. Hutto, about this season, and think we're going to be extremely, competitive and fun to watch. Love to have you guys out on a Friday night for a beautiful Gainesville football game. Come out to the East Side Buchholz game. We're hosting Cardinal Gibbons, state champion from last year, week 4. Love to have y'all out there if you want to see us beat some state champions of yesteryear. And so we've got a schedule that's unbelievable. We play 5 teams that were either in the final game or won the final game in their respective division. So it's not a cupcake schedule. That's for sure. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Folks, what an just fantastic presentation, Mark. Thank you. You've been a sincere, just wonderful friend as long as I've known you, and I'm proud of you. Thank you for doing this today for us. Mark, I want to let you know that our club not only appreciates what you did today, we appreciate what you're doing in the community and for our kids. Education is one of Rotary International's, it's actually 7 areas of focus now. So we are with you on the importance of bringing up our Alachua County kids. In fact, our club, Rotary Club of Gainesville, has quite a reputation that we're proud of supporting a lot of different projects here in Alachua County, the Alachua County Public Schools. So thank you, Mark. Mark, I've got a little gift for you. You can stay seated right there. I'll call you up in a second. But this is a coin. I think you would fit the Rotary mold pretty well, sir. I believe we might need to talk about that sometime. The front of this coin has our motto. It's service above self. That's something everyone in Rotary strives for. That's our object. And on the back, it has our 4-way test. The 4-way test is something that, I don't want to say it governs what we do, but it's what we try to hold ourselves up to. It's a test that we apply to everything we say or do. We ask, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? So I've got that for you. Hopefully you'll remember this talk, and we'll certainly remember you. Folks, there's one other thing I wanted to mention that I'm glad I thought of this. I had a lot of things on my plate I wanted to get out and give Mark plenty of time, but Bruce Rogers, husband of Anne Marie Rogers, passed away very recently, and I just ask that you'll remember Anne Marie and their family in your thoughts and prayers. A lot of you, I know, will remember Bruce. He wasn't a member of the club, but he participated a lot with us especially on our Veterans Day meetings. He would, a time or two, he even gave a talk about being a downed B-17 bomber pilot in France and how he and his crew had to, kind of hold it up like they do in the movies. So anyway, Bruce was a neat guy. I hope you'll remember him and Anne Marie. With that, I've got a quote, which let me recall it here really quickly. It's Robert Frost who said, "I don't teach, but I awaken." Look forward to seeing you all next week.